Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. We were both trying to do that deep voice at the beginning of our intro very desperately and failed miserably.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We don't have the amazing voice.
Wait, let me give it one more go. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football.
They have that guy on ESPN. I think that's his real voice. I'm not sure, but he does like the advertisements and the transitions. It doesn't sound real. It sounds forced like that. Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Thursday, October 10th. Thursday Night Football tonight. Week 6 begins tonight. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon right across from me.
What's up?
We got a lot to break down. We got 9 or 10 matchup breakdowns. We got starts and sits of the week. So, I think we got news too. So we got a lot to discuss. Before we get into the news, make sure you go over to our website, thefantasychampions.com. Look at all the content, rankings, articles, everything that you need for fantasy football year-round. Go to our website. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Fantasy Champions on Instagram and at the FF Champs on Twitter. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/the Fantasy Champions. Subscribe wherever you listen: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play. Leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Let's get into the news. So there is a game tonight.
Oh, there is?
Yeah. It should be over in the first 2.5 minutes.
Dude, yeah, because Daniel Jones is going to walk into Foxborough and shut down the New England Patriots.
If he does that, speaking as a fan of the New England Patriots, I will quit.
You'll quit?
All football. I'll just go full basketball all the time.
Okay, well, we'll see tonight, everybody, when the Giants beat New England now because Morgan jinxed himself.
Yep. Saquon Barkley, Sterling Shepard, Wayne Gallman, and Evan Ingram are all out.
Oh, never mind.
So it's the Daniel Jones show for tonight's game. That's awful. This is going to be the worst game of the year.
Oh, man.
Why NFL? What possessed you to schedule a Thursday night football game? Like, okay, I get like the Browns games. I get like trying to get some of these but like you have the Patriots. You have the New England Patriots, one of the best teams in the NFL, and you could have put them against anybody else. Literally anybody else.
No, not
and
anybody.
You challenged
a New England Miami Thursday night. Imagine that.
Yeah, that would have been bad. No, but I was gonna say we play. What is it? Is it the NFC East?
Yes.
So why are we not playing the Cowboys? Why are the Patriots not playing the Cowboys or the Eagles?
Because they got to save that for a primetime 1:00 game, bro.
So gross.
I think
this is such a bad game. Like this is a Sunday at 1:00 game.
No, it is.
It's so bad. The Patriots released tight end Ben Watson on Monday. Interesting development. There's rumors floating around that this could be tied to a trade for Tyler Eifert, AJ Green, and other such.
You want to say another name? Go ahead, say the other name.
Stephen Diggs.
Okay.
But there's such. Coach Anthony Lynn wouldn't rule out Hunter Henry returning for Week 6 against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football.
Oh, interesting.
What
was his original report when he got injured? Was it 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, something like that. No, I thought it was 10 weeks.
No, it was originally, but then Adam Schefter came out and said it was a lot sooner.
Shefty dropping news, and I didn't see it. Leave it to Beaver.
No, you did see it because then you roasted someone in our league for dropping him.
Oh, that's true. Who has him?
You're looking at him.
Oh, you clown. Why would you even do that? He has Austin Hooper, and then he adds Hunter.
I had a roster spot, okay?
All right, I am not.
I almost added Chris Herndon.
I'm not gonna lie. I have been trying to trade for Keenan Allen, and I'm probably gonna avoid that now that I see this news.
Yeah, Hunter Henry's coming back. Melvin Gordon is back.
Chargers I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong line. Cam Newton arrived to practice without a walking boot on Tuesday. He has been ruled out for this week's game, but it looks like he's making progress. Sam Darnold will start Week 6 against the Cowboys, so the return of Sam Darnold.
Now the Jets can finally win 5 games and go 5-11.
Yeah. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin said Jalen Samuels will be out at least a month following a knee scope on Monday. So fire up your James Conner shares.
Ring, ring.
Yeah.
Ring, ring.
He's going to get all the passing work, and he's going to get all the running work. I don't even know who the third-string running back is.
I don't either. But could this backfire a little bit for James Conner owners who think he's going to go off this month and then
I would watch matchups.
Like this week? Who are they playing this week? Isn't it
Chargers?
The Chargers. So Mason Rudolph is out, so they're probably going to realize that James Conner is the only threat in the offense. They're going to put 8 in the box and force them to throw.
Yep, probably.
And if they do run it, he's going to lose like 3 yards each time. Mm-hmm. Because he's going to get hit in the backfield immediately.
Here we go.
I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but...
Devlin, I said his name wrong on the last podcast, by the way. It's not Delvin. It's Devlin. Devlin Hodges.
Oh, sorry.
I'm 98% sure that I had him on this year's Madden at some point, and I started him at quarterback, so there's that. Kind of.
You're a psycho.
Yeah. Anyway, Deshaun Jackson has remained sidelined again. I don't know what is up with his abdomen.
Is this one of those injuries that's like, oh, he'll be back in a week or two, and then the end of the season happens? And
yeah, but how bad can an abdomen injury be? Like, he must have severely tore something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know if he's going to miss this week's game, but just keep an eye on the practice report for Thursday and Friday. In an Instagram video Wednesday, free agent Antonio Brown encouraged the Patriots to give him a call and re-sign him. He said, and I quote, if anybody knows, or if anybody follows the Patriots Twitter account, tell them to call me. They have to pay me anyway. I might as well earn it.
Yeah, maybe that would have been better if he didn't
I also
do everything.
I also notice this. I'm not a Antonio Brown defender. I neither confirm nor deny my belief in whether he actually did what is being accused.
Here's the problem.
I'm going to say this. Right after he got cut by the Patriots, we haven't heard a single word or another accusation from anybody on Antonio Brown.
Is this because you just really want Antonio Brown on the Patriots?
I kind of do.
I know you do.
I'm not going to lie.
Patriots fan, I get it.
A lot of us want to pretend that we don't want Antonio Brown back, but we want Antonio Brown back. Honestly, the league misses another talented wide receiver like Antonio Brown.
Dude, what are you talking about? We have DJ Chark.
TJ Hawkinson remains sidelined in the league's concussion protocol. So he has been in concussion protocol for like 2 weeks now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's not good. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported that Case Keenum is expected to play Week 6 against the Dolphins. Fire up your Terry McLaurin shares. Christian McCaffrey did not practice Wednesday due to a back injury, but they just had to say he missed practice for some reason. This was really what they called a veteran day off.
For the third-year player.
Well deserved.
It is, yes.
Mason Rudolph, concussion, returned to practice on Wednesday. After seeing that hit, I'm kind of surprised that he even is practicing Wednesday.
That actually is surprising.
He passed out and looked totally calm.
Yeah, it looked like when it happened, he might be done for a while.
He's still in the league's concussion protocol right now, so it is unlikely, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, without inside sources, I think Mason Rudolph is not going to play this week. But I would continue to watch that situation because if he does play this week, it definitely helps the likes of James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster better than having Devlin Hodges as your quarterback. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he's the next Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Let's go. If he is, I will rejoice as a Juju owner. Philip Dorsett won't play in Week 6 against the Giants. You should probably start Josh Gordon. You probably should start Josh Gordon anyway, but this probably means Josh Gordon and Philip Dorsett play a similar role. So I would say that this would mean good things for Josh Gordon, but I don't even know who the fifth-string wide receiver is at this point. So
probably Jacoby Myers.
He's going to get like 12 targets this week. Watch.
Yep.
Because Brady
It's
hates
Patriots.
fantasy football. Mark Andrews missed practice Wednesday, shoulder injury. He has been consistently on the injury report for the last 3 weeks. He went down twice on Sunday in the Baltimore Ravens game. So I would just keep an eye on Mark Andrews this week as he practices, but I'm starting to see a little bit of injury concern show through on Mark Andrews. If you have a team who's stupid about tight ends, I would maybe try to trade him.
Yeah.
I always try to trade tight ends, though. And then I'll hand this one off to you. Tyreek Hill might play. And I just heard this from you, so I don't even know.
Yes, Tyreek Hill. I think he was limited in practice on Wednesday. So there is a very good chance he plays. I think I heard the team was optimistic.
That's always a good sign.
I don't know if they were optimistic about him playing this week. I should pull up the exact quote. Or they were optimistic of him being a full participant in practice.
Right.
But either way, that is optimism. So there's a good chance Tyreek Hill might come back this week, everybody.
Yeah, there's several teams that I see with Tyreek Hill to slide him into his lineup just for the sake of seeing
people. I'm playing against him in 2 leagues, and both those teams are starting Tyreek Hill right now.
Yep. Oh, maybe the Chiefs will start playing and they won't take him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think that's all we got for the news. Let's move into our Week 6 breakdowns, and then we'll give you our starts and sits and close the show out. I feel like we just started.
I know,
we did. So let's start off. We finished last episode confused as to whether or not the Texans and the Chiefs were playing at 1 o'clock, and they are. And that should have been the Thursday night or Sunday night or Monday night football game. Literally any other time except for 1 o'clock. The NFL is really bad.
That is just terrible that you have Texans Chiefs at 1 o'clock.
That better be on national television, I swear.
Two of your primetime games are Steelers Chargers without the Steelers' top 2 quarterbacks. And the other one is Patriots Giants.
Yeah.
And then
what's the Monday night football game?
Lions Packers. That's actually a good game.
Yeah, that's decent. But anyway, Saints at Jaguars, Sunday at 1 o'clock. The over-under is 44 points, which is actually, I'm going to say that's kind of low. I don't know. It might 44? Be right. Yeah, 44 points. I don't know.
That's actually a tough one to bet over-under, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to look at because Vegas is always woefully informed. So there's that.
Yeah, it's going to be around that number, I think.
So we have Teddy Bridgewater going up against Jacksonville and Gardner Minshew going up against New Orleans. New Orleans has had one of the most interesting pass defenses in the NFL where they've given up a lot of fantasy points to, I think they gave up 19 fantasy points last week to 19 and 20 fantasy points to Jameis Winston. A couple weeks before, they gave up 42 to Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Most in trash time. So this situation with Gardner Minshew, I mean, he's had 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception in the games that he's played so far this year. He's looked really good. He hasn't scored under 16 fantasy points. Is this guy a start for you against New Orleans?
I think he is. Now, I'm not going out of my way to start him. Obviously, if you have a better quarterback, start him, of course.
Yeah.
But the numbers, bro, speak for themselves. This dude has been balling out this year. As you said, he hasn't scored less than 16 fantasy points.
Yeah.
He's been a consistent 17 to 20-point guy. And I think last week, I don't have the number in front of me, but I think he had 23 last week.
Yeah.
Whatever it was his career high, and whatever you can say his career is, a few games. But still, yeah, he had 23 against Carolina in Carolina. You would think this week it's an easier matchup against New Orleans, who does have a pretty solid defense, but they play better at home than they do on the road. I think Minshew's a good start and a good streaming option. Knowing that this game, I don't believe in the 44-point over-under, but knowing that this game is probably going to come down to offenses going back and forth. I mean, Jacksonville's defense has been not great. So, I mean, they shut down the Titans on Thursday Night Football.
Oh, boy. Fantastic. And then Bridgewater against Jacksonville is interesting. A lot of people are, coming in droves to pick up Teddy Bridgewater, and they're excited about Bridgewater. I'm going to say don't start him against Jacksonville.
Oh. Wasn't he your streaming option, bro?
Was he?
I think he was.
Oh, snap.
I think you got to keep that, go with the flow. You got it. You can't switch now.
Can't switch
You're
now.
stuck with him.
Oh, opinions change. All right, maybe. I'd rather have Gardner Minshew. You got me all excited about Minshew. Minshew mania. Let's go. Yeah, I'd start him. Why not?
I think I honestly I would probably start both of these guys in streaming situations.
Yeah, they're both good streaming options. Like if you have like Bridgewater in a top 10 quarterback, start the top 10 quarterback. I'm not even. Yeah. And then Fournette's an obvious start. Alvin Kamara is an obvious start. Fournette, he's getting closer to that boom game. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. He's already had some really big games, like 20-point games, but
he's only one rushing touchdown.
He only has one rushing touchdown, and it's like
Kamara does too. Actually,
he's gonna get to that point. Kamara is an interesting little conversation because he's not a guy that usually puts up. Last year, I believe he had 1,500 to 1,700 all-purpose yards. The top 3-4 backs in the league always usually have somewhere around 1,900 to 2,000 all-purpose yards. Kamara is not like that. Kamara is touchdown dependent. My one concern coming into this season was not his opportunity to score touchdowns, but that if he did see a touchdown regression from the previous year, that it would take a big hit in fantasy and he would probably finish like top 6 instead. He hasn't scored touchdowns, and I'm not saying he's having a regression, but it is cause for concern that he's not scoring touchdowns.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I think he'll still be fine though.
But he does have 342 yards. Leonard Fournette's just an absolute monster. So if he scores, I feel like a game's coming where he gets 200 all-purpose yards and like 2 touchdowns.
It's like a 40-point game.
It's going to be ridiculous. So start both of them. How do you feel about Chark?
My boy, unfortunately, I had to trade him in fantasy this week.
Against New Orleans? You like him against New Orleans?
I do like him against New Orleans. For the same reason I kind of like Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just like Gardner Minshew in general.
He's like, I like Gardner.
But it's the Saints defense has been not great this year against quarterbacks.
Okay.
They've given up a lot of passing yards, which is an advantage for DJ Chark. And DJ Chark has kind of just emerged as Gardner Minshew's favorite target and his go-to target.
Is it a number 2, year 2 wide receiver breakout?
It could be, yeah. I mean, and the way he's played this year, how can you not start him right now?
No, I know. He's your Tyler Boyd of 2019.
Yeah.
Because he started the year behind Westbrook and Chris Conley. And he's jumped ahead of both of those guys to be the number 1. He will slow down. Be prepared for that. But I would start him against New Orleans. What about Westbrook against New Orleans? Do you think that they're going to be chasing the Saints probably for majority of this game?
Yeah.
DJ Chark can't catch 3 I mean, he can, but he's not going to catch 3 touchdowns in one game.
He caught 2 last week.
Westbrook, yeah, even worse. Westbrook, he might be a good play.
He might be, yeah.
As a low-end flex option if you do have him, but I doubt anybody owns him.
Yeah. I'm probably not going with Westbrook unless it's like a low-end flex.
Start Michael Thomas.
Obviously.
A lot of people really like Jared Cook still, and
he's gotten a touchdown last week, bro. His first of the year.
That's exactly why you shouldn't start him this week.
Yeah, I'm not starting Jared Cook.
Don't start Jared Cook. Let's move on to our next game. Seattle at Cleveland. The Seahawks at the Browns, 47.5-point over-under. When is Vegas going to learn the Browns suck?
Wow.
I like the Browns. I like my Browns.
I know you love the Browns, bro.
Russell Wilson facing off against Cleveland Browns pass defense. He has 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he's currently the number 1 quarterback in all of fantasy football.
He's the number 1 quarterback.
This is a must.
He's having an MVP.
Game.
If the MVP was decided today, it would be McCaffrey, in my opinion. But number 2 would be Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Baker is a guy that you shouldn't even be touching.
Oh, yeah. No, get away from
bench Baker. Do you see this just overall as a game where the Browns figure it out? Because at some point, something's going to click.
It could be. You know, it's funny. The Browns have been so terrible this year, and they're 2-3, and I think they might go 2-4 after this week. I still think they might win the division. Because that division blows. The Bengals are not going to win the division.
The Steelers have a chance to
win. The Steelers have a chance, but I don't think they will. The Ravens are obviously the favorites, but
they almost beat Baltimore.
It's true. But Cleveland did beat Baltimore, so
yeah.
It's
So, I mean, obviously, don't start Baker
No.
this week.
Look at his
Stay
numbers.
away from it. It's bad. 1,200 yards, 4 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's just been putrid.
That's terrible.
But start Russell Wilson. We have Chris Carson against Cleveland. I would start him with confidence against Cleveland. Last week, they got gashed by Matt Breida.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would...
And
I would be
Carson also, I think, had, I want to say, 27 carries last week on Thursday Night Football.
I don't think he'll touch the ball nearly as much.
No, that was insane. But
I'm not sure he... Well, yeah.
He'll probably get like around 20 touches, though.
Are you concerned about Chubb against Seattle?
He's
been really
maybe
good.
A little bit, but he's been
really good this year.
fantastic. I mean, you're starting him no matter what.
We got OBJ. OBJ, the concerning OBJ. I love him. But yeah, I love all the Browns, really, and it's so sad
You can't
that
start
none of them,
Odell right now. I'm not going to start him.
Okay, against Seattle, you wouldn't do it.
I mean,
see.
if,
I don't
if my
think
receivers
it's to,
are
I don't
weak,
think.
then I guess
I don't
do,
think
but
it's. I don't think it's.
If I have depth at the position,
Yeah, if you have depth, I guess not. But I'm not at the point yet where I'm gonna say don't start OBJ. He's had 2 bad games. Like, you know what I mean? Let's relax.
yeah, but I mean, he hasn't had a good game this year.
He had a 25-point game in week 2.
He did, but it was off one play pretty much.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if that one play didn't happen, he still would have had like 14, 15 points in that game. So he's not a bad. He's like to me, I'm not at the point. Like if he does this 2 more weeks in a row, then yeah, you bench him. But it's Odell Beckham. Like
you're right. You should start him, but
they're
I'm just
trying
saying
to
if you
get-
have like
Yeah, no. They're trying to get him involved. And whether it's him throwing the football, doing stupid end arounds and trying to get, like, they're trying to find ways to get him involved.
yeah,
And it's working in some aspects and it's not working in others.
no, right.
So I would be okay starting Odell this week, but scale of 1 to 10 panic meter
It's like
on Odell.
it's
What
like
is
an
your
8.
panic? See, I'm gonna say 6.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 6.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I'll go 7. I'll
We'll
bring
split
it down
the
a little bit.
difference. Split the difference.
Like I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If you picked up DJ Chark like 3 weeks ago on your team, and you just kept him on the bench because you have Odell Beckham, this week do you make the move? Do you start Chark over Odell?
Who am I playing? Okay, here's how I'll answer it. If you have a game against an easy team and you're deciding between DJ Chark and Odell, play Odell. If you need a boom performance from a player and just to get a win because you think you're going to lose, then start Chark.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think Odell, like, he's still getting targeted 7 to 8 times a game. And when he starts catching the ball eventually, he's going to come down with it. He's going to get you 10 to 12 points. I think his floor is higher than Chark's, where I think Chark could just completely puke himself. His play is dependent on Gardner Minshew's play.
Yeah.
So, as well as Beckham's is, but Beckham's still getting
Mayfield's
8 to 12
been terrible
targets a
this
game.
year, and he's still getting, yeah.
I want to ask a quick question. Jarvis Landry has been really good in the slot. There has been some people questioning even, is Jarvis Landry the wide receiver to own on the Cleveland Browns this year, which I find very interesting. He doesn't have a touchdown catch this year, but he does have 403 receiving yards on 22 receptions. He has more receiving yards than Odell and 1 less reception than Odell. So is he worth a low-end option against Seattle or no?
He could be. If you're at the point where you have to start, you still, in your opinion, have to start Odell,
Yep.
or thinking that, then I think you should consider also starting Jarvis Landry.
Okay. I would say, yeah. I mean, against Seattle, no.
It is home against Seattle.
That's true.
It's tough.
Low-end option at flex,
Yeah.
I would start him.
He's a flex option, but
Lockett is becoming a must-start. His target share is way too high to not start him, especially against Cleveland.
Lockett's been awesome.
The only concern is that if Cleveland doesn't show up and this turns into another 49ers matchup where they just get completely destroyed, manhandled, then anything in the Browns' offense is going to be bad. And then I think that's also going to indirectly affect not Chris Carson, but Tyler Lockett, Disley and Metcalf. So I would just keep an eye on that situation. But I think it's going to be a decent week for the Browns. I would start Disley against Cleveland. And then this is interesting. Seattle's actually been kind of bad. I think it's like they give up the top 5 most fantasy points to tight ends this year. Right now, Cleveland's tight end is Ricky Seals-Jones because David Njoku, I believe, is out.
Yeah, he's out till like week 12.
Yeah, so is do you want any
No.
part of that? Okay,
No.
yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I do not want to touch Ricky Seals-Jones. Let's move on to the next game. Bengals at Ravens, Sunday at 1 o'clock. The 48-point over-under. So this is a little higher scoring than I initially thought it was.
48.
Yeah, 48-point over-under. I checked it twice just to confirm that was true, and it is. Andy Dalton is a sit to me against Baltimore.
Yeah,
He's
Baltimore.
He's a bad streaming option. Now, he has 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's not been bad this year, but I think he's just if you have a deeper quarterback league and there's like 15 quarterbacks owned and this is the only option you have for streaming, then Andy Dalton is a good stream. But against Baltimore, he is a no-go. Like, don't even start him. Don't go anywhere near Andy Dalton. I don't know if you have anything else to add on that, but
No, I'm just not starting Andy Dalton in Baltimore.
Lamar Jackson up against Cincinnati is a go.
Yes.
Yeah, don't even question it. Running backs, Joe Mixon against Baltimore. You got a question on your Twitter about starting Joe Mixon this week, so maybe this listener will actually listen.
It's so tough.
This far into our podcast and hear whether or not you should start Joe Mixon.
I would not start him unless you have a better option.
Yeah.
And like the question I got was Sony Michel or Joe Mixon. That was tough. I think this week I'm probably starting Sony against the Giants versus Mixon on the road against Baltimore.
Right.
I think Baltimore will take their lead early in that game. Cincinnati's going to be forced to throw the ball because they're losing by a gazillion points. Mixon's just so like
up and down
this season.
Yeah, and he's not been good on the ground.
No. Well,
I am tempted to say, so right now he's fallen, if you look at the Fantasy Pros ECR, he's fallen so far down for experts in the rankings that I think he's 19 now, which to me at that point, if he's that low, then not that he's a week-to-week option because he's still an RB2, but you can justifiably say, I'm facing Baltimore, I'm going to sit Joe Mixon this week.
Yeah.
And for me, if you have options on, like if you don't have a better option, start Joe Mixon. But if you do not have a better option, if you do have a better option, then you should go in the direction of Joe Mixon. You shouldn't hold out and say, okay, I'm not. But it's like you don't want to stick a guy in your lineup and then completely have him poop his pants and not play well.
Yeah.
And Baltimore has one of the best rush defenses in the NFL, so that's very, very concerning. Mark Ingram has been absolutely insane this year. I believe
6 touchdowns.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm right on this, but I believe he leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns this year. Mark Ingram is being utilized in the red zone. He's getting a lot. Like he's had 74 rushing attempts. Gus Edwards had 38 rushing attempts. Justice Hill has had 13. So he is the clear RB1. He's the workhorse in Baltimore, which is surprising to me to say because I didn't believe that would happen. But if he continues scoring touchdowns, he becomes a top 10 running back.
You know who was so high on Mark Ingram this year and really wanted him from you? Because you drafted him in our league?
You.
It was me.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Mark Ingram too. I just don't. It was so hard to sell him at the beginning of the year because no one else believed.
Dude, you didn't even ask me, bro. I'm still mad about that.
Yeah, because I didn't want anyone on your team. Mark Ingram must start this week. Are you starting anybody? Okay, so let's just say we'll start Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Because it's Cincinnati, are you starting Marquise Brown?
If he plays, he didn't practice Wednesday.
Yep. Keep an eye on.
He had that ankle injury this past week.
Yeah.
Who did they play against this past week? I don't remember. But he got injured in the game.
Yeah.
So if he does play and is
go.
healthy, I think he's a go. I think you start him against Cincinnati.
Baltimore has their for some reason I can't remember what the guy's name is, but their inside slot corner struggles against slot receivers. So Tyler Boyd should be in for another good week this week. He's going to get his normal 8 to 12 targets, and he'll probably put up 90 to 100 yards,
which is probably going to be in half PPR.
Yeah, I think the boom for him, I think his floor is good, but I think the boom comes from whether or not he scores another touchdown,
which isn't.
I don't know if Cincinnati can get there. Yeah. So yeah, is there anyone else you wanted to talk about in this game? Or
I think that's pretty much it. I want to bring up Tate, the homie Tate.
Auden Tate.
But I at the same time I don't, because it's in Baltimore.
Yeah, I would. Everyone that picked up Auden Tate this week off the waivers, don't start him.
Yeah, don't.
Stay far away. 49ers at Rams, 50-point over-under. This is going to be a great game at 4 o'clock. There's actually a bunch of really good games at 4 o'clock.
This is a great.
But the 49ers
our
at Rams.
primetime games were were those games, Chargers and Steelers and Patriots and Giants.
So we got Jimmy G going up against Los Angeles. Right now, Jimmy G is a streaming option. I would not start Jimmy G.
Not this week.
Not this week. And then as far as the other side, Jared Goff is at home. He's going up against, this is a weird game. He's going up against a hard San Francisco 49ers pass rush and secondary. Their defense has been really good this year, but Jared Goff is at home.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go with it and say start Jared Goff.
Okay.
You got to roll with it.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say sit him.
Okay, all right. I mean, I don't disagree. Jared Goff has 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
Actually, so I'm not really saying sit him either. I think he's going to be like the 10th quarterback. Would you... Like, he's going to be a super low-end...
He'll probably get, like,
high-end
20
QB2,
points.
low-end QB1.
He'll probably give you 20 points.
I was just going to say, like, about 18.
Definitely, I would play him at home, though. He's not going to completely crap the bed.
Unless you... like, again, if you have better options on your team, like Kyler Murray or someone like that. Lamar Jackson, obviously.
Right.
But...
running backs for the 49ers, Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, you got Raheem Mostert, and then Todd Gurley for the Rams. So I think this is... I'm going to change my tune a little bit after the Monday Night Football game for Matt Breida, however you want to say it. I think he's the one now. There's no way they don't start giving him... like, Tevin Coleman's going to play the Tevin Coleman role.
Yeah.
Like he did in Atlanta. But I think... Matt Breida is now becoming the number one running back in this offense. He's been really good with his opportunities. He had a really good game against Cleveland. Now it's Cleveland, so I'm not really, going to hold too much water to that. But do you start him against Los Angeles?
I want to talk about that a little later.
Okay. I like Coleman. He also had a good game. Would you start him as a low-end flex option against Los Angeles?
Probably not.
Okay, I wouldn't either. And then Todd Gurley this week against San Francisco. It's going to be kind of a tough game.
It is a tough matchup, but
they're at home. They're going to get in the red zone, and Todd Gurley's probably going to score. And the touchdown-dependent Todd Gurley, he might get 1,000 yards and 21 touchdowns this year.
I don't think he's getting 21 TDs.
He's right now. He has 5. He's on pace for 20.
He's on pace for 16, isn't he? We've played 5 games, bro.
I'll look that up right now and prove it to you. But he's on pace for quite.
He has 5 touchdowns through 5 games.
He's going to get the touchdown work. Now, what I'm saying is that whether he scores 18 or 21 touchdowns, does that really matter? My goodness.
I said 16, bro.
Yeah, he's on pace for 16.
Why'd you have to look that up? That wasn't hard.
No, I had to confirm if it was true or not. He's like, it's not hard math to do. Yes, it is.
It's literally just one. Okay, I'm not going to get into it.
He's like, I'm not going to get into it. He hasn't caught a receiving touchdown yet this year, which I think he will do at some point.
Yeah.
So I would not surprise me if he scored 20 touchdowns and had only 1,000 yards. That would be so ridiculous.
It would be. But still good fantasy season.
Yeah, so start him against San Francisco, but just beware that he might not have the best day. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks. I think Brandon Cooks is becoming definitely a boomer bust option.
Which we knew that going in.
I would bench him against San Francisco this week, unfortunately. I think you're safe to start Cooper Kupp, and I honestly think you're probably safe to start Robert Woods in this game as well. But outside of that.
That's interesting that Robert Woods doesn't have a touchdown this year. That I'm surprised about.
That's probably why he hasn't been performing as well. But
Right.
anyway. And then I wouldn't start anybody from the
No, I
receiver
wouldn't.
core. George Kittle must start. We'll talk about Gerald Everett later.
All right.
Let's move on to the next game. Falcons at Cardinals. 51.5 point over-under. This one is a high-scoring affair, and I'm not even sure why.
Because it's two crappy defenses.
That's true. Both teams have one win, so there's that.
One of these teams will have their second win of the season.
I would start Matt Ryan against Arizona. That's a must start.
Yep,
and then we'll talk about Kyler Murray later, but I'll just say start him against Arizona. Freeman against Arizona. He has been struggling this year. He has 58 rush attempts and 187 yards. It's absolutely awful. Are you feeling like at this point, I think for people it's become a week-to-week thing with Devonta Freeman and whether you want to start him or not. Are you starting Devonta Freeman against Arizona? I think this is definitely a game you got to start him.
Yeah, typically I'd say no.
It's like, don't start him because he blows.
Yeah, honestly, but this week against Arizona, he's
been getting better.
15-point game.
See,
so I'd start him.
Us as fantasy analysts will say, yeah, Freeman's probably a guy you shouldn't be thinking about on a week-to-week, but 90% of people that own him are probably like, I'm starting him every week.
Because they spent a third-round pick on him.
Yeah. And I'm like, at this point, 5 weeks into the season, you kind of know what a guy is. And if he breaks out, then you can come up with that later. But a good matchup against Arizona. Yeah. You definitely got to start him. And then David Johnson has been bad on the ground as well this year, but he's getting the passing work. And in a game that's probably going to be high scoring, David Johnson's going to have a fantastic week this week.
20-point week.
Yeah, probably a 20-point week. So he should be okay. As far as the wide receivers for the Arizona Cardinals, you have Fitzgerald and Kirk basically splitting. They haven't thrown a lot of passing touchdowns. But, I mean, either one of these guys, do you want to start him this week?
I don't think Kirk's playing this week. He missed last week as well. He's injured. He had an ankle injury. If he does play, then I'm not sure if I'm starting either. But if he doesn't play, I think Fitzgerald is a good... Actually, no, I'm starting Fitzgerald either way.
Okay.
He's been the red zone target for Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. He's only thrown 4 touchdowns, and half of them have gone to Fitzgerald. And in a game that will probably be high scoring, a lot of offense, I think Fitzgerald will be a good play.
Julio Jones is a must start, but Calvin Ridley is the question here. 21 receptions, 295 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's basically the same player that he was last year.
Yep.
I think in this offense against Arizona in a high-scoring game, you have to start Calvin Ridley. There are going to be some people who picked up Mohamed Sanu this week, who has 29 receptions, 281 yards, and a touchdown. Is Mohamed Sanu a low-end option for you? Or are you avoiding? Yeah, I'm going to avoid. But people are going to ask about Mohamed Sanu this week against Arizona. I guarantee.
If there is going to be a week to start him, though, I think this might be the week.
Yeah, it might be the week. Cowboys at Jets, 43-point over-under. Man, that's... This should be a good game for the Cowboys offense, but you can never say never on it.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Sam Darnold's return this week. I would definitely, if you have a Sam Darnold obsession and you're a Jets fan and you're like, I'm going to pick up Sam Darnold, I'm going to start him this week, don't do that.
The next 2 weeks.
If you want to win fantasy, don't pick up.
They play the Cowboys and Patriots this week, too, or next week. So Sam Darnold's going to need a few weeks to come back anyway.
Yeah. Dak against the Jets is a must start, I think. It's a good matchup. You kind of have to start him. His beginning of the season has been so putrid, more specifically because he's playing the AFC East. Zeke is a must start. Zeke he's getting the opportunity, and he's been in games. He's getting like 15 to 20 points a game, but he hasn't had that monster game yet. I'm waiting for it to happen. Hopefully it happens against the Jets. He's had so many good opportunities to have a huge game. I'm surprised
he hasn't had at least a 30-point game.
It's because in the easier games, for some reason, Dallas struggles offensively, and I don't understand it. But he's a start. Le'Veon Bell this week against Dallas. This is a tough matchup. But you believe in Le'Veon. I think he's been putrid on the ground. 3.5 yards a carry. I think Darnold will pull some stuff away. But I don't know if it's. He's had 71 rushing attempts for 206 yards. I mean, that's terrible. He's a start, obviously. You have to start him because he gets the opportunity. But
what I'll just say about Le'Veon Bell is Luke Falk has been the quarterback, and he might be the worst quarterback I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
He was brutal. The teams, when they played against the Jets, they would stack the box, kind of what I was saying about James Conner recently.
Mm-hmm.
And they forced the Jets to throw the ball. The Jets still ran it, and Le'Veon Bell would get hit behind the line pretty much every single play.
Yeah.
So, of course, I think his rushing numbers are down.
Right.
I don't even know if they're going to go up too much in the next 2 weeks because, again, Cowboys, Patriots, it's two very tough matchups. But second half of the season, long term.
He's got a soft schedule.
He has a soft schedule.
I just yawned into the microphone.
It's one of those things that if you're looking long term, you want to go to that Bell fantasy owner and just let it play out. Because I think he's going to have 2 average weeks again. Because the Bell fantasy owner is probably waiting for Darnold to come back. And now he sees Darnold comes back, everything's going to be fine.
Right.
Well, they have 2 tough matchups, and Bell still is average.
Mm-hmm.
That's after that happens, then you go attack. You get Le'Veon Bell in a trade. So I'm still very high on Le'Veon Bell. This week, though, I think he's going to get like 10 to 15 points.
So you have Robbie Anderson, Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder so far this year has 22 receptions, 174 yards.
And 14 of those 22 receptions came in week 1 when Sam Darnold played.
Yeah. So Jamison Crowder, I don't think is a start this week against Dallas.
Or even next week against New England.
Yeah, the next 2 weeks I'd sit him.
But once they get to literally that soft part of the schedule.
I know for you, you're going to...
I've been hanging on to Crowder.
Yeah, you're going to hang on to Crowder, but a majority of people are going to drop Crowder. So if you do not own Crowder, go out after he blows for 2 weeks and pick him up. I don't know, who knows? Maybe he doesn't blow. Maybe he actually plays well.
If he plays well against the Cowboys and Patriots, then he's going to be really, really
I don't
good
think it's even going to be him playing well. I think it's just that he's going to get targeted 15 times because they don't have anyone else to throw to. And they're going to be behind the whole time, so Crowder's probably going to catch like 7 to 10 balls. And if he does that, he'll have like 10, 11, 12 fantasy points a week. Like, I mean, that's...
So you still think he's going to be decent then?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't think... don't start him this week. It's risky. But if he does have a really good week this week, I don't want to start him against New England either.
I'm not starting anybody.
Hold on to Jamison Crowder.
Yes. Keep him on your team.
Robbie Anderson is a no-go. Herndon has had some recent news. He was running routes last week and hurt his hamstring. They're not sure he's going to play this week. If he does have a hamstring injury, we continue to wait to see if they want to utilize the tight end position. So there's that. Yeah. And then on the other side, you have Amari Cooper, who's a must-start. These 2 guys I've been thinking about kind of as starts. Michael Gallup, who has 20 receptions, 339 yards, and a touchdown against the Jets defense. He's been actually relatively decent to start the year. He's playing the slot receiver role in that offense.
He might be a good start.
And last week he had, I think it was 10 targets. So Michael Gallup might be a good start this week. And then Jason Witten at the tight end position is entirely touchdown dependent.
It's like 4
4
catches for 20 yards
against the Jets, if they're scoring a lot. What's the over-under again? 44?
Yeah.
43? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be high scoring.
I'm probably not starting Jason.
If they score 35 points, Jason Witten might catch a touchdown. He's targeted in the red zone so much just because for some reason Amari Cooper can't get open unless he has like field to work with. So I think Witten could be a guy that they throw to in the red zone in that game if they're in that area a lot. We'll see what happens. I think he's a good streamable option if you have Darren Waller on a bye week.
That's fair.
Titans at Broncos, 39-point over/under. Second to last 4 o'clock game that we're going to do. This is a game that we probably don't have too much to talk about with. Mariota, I would say, is a sit this week against Denver.
Yeah.
I would say Joe Flacco is never a play. Derrick Henry has been okay so far this season. He's slowly leaking himself back into the RB2 conversation.
Yeah, he started off. The good thing about Henry though is he's a guaranteed like 13 fantasy points because he's not gonna get catch,
right?
But he's either gonna get like 25 carries for 130 yards,
right?
or he's going to get like 70 yards and a touchdown.
So after his massive week against Cleveland week 1 where he had that 70-something yard touchdown catch, his only catch of the season.
I mean, he gets a few catches, but
he had one. He's had 5 catches this year.
Yeah.
He's going to end with like maybe 20 or 16. There you go.
Hey.
The basic math. He had 28 points in that week 1, but after that against Indianapolis, he had 16. He had 11 against Jacksonville, 11 against Atlanta, and then 13 against Buffalo. So Denver so far this year has been pretty porous on the ground. He's obviously a start. I think he's safe to go with this week, but I don't think he's any more than a mid to high-end RB2 at this point.
Yeah.
He's not going to, unless he has like a 3-touchdown game, he's not going to get you those 25 fantasy point games that you want. And
he's a very good RB2 though, I think.
Like he's a guy that's going to get you 8, 7. Mark Ingram has the same concerns for me. He's a guy that'll get you 7 in a half PPR setting. A guy who doesn't catch the ball is going to get you 7 to 8 fantasy points on the ground and then punch it in once, and that'll be their game. That'll be 14, 15 fantasy points, and that's what he's doing. So it's like when he doesn't score a touchdown, he has a mediocre game. Yeah. And when he does score in half PPR, it's just so hard to have Henry be a really good option.
In standard league, he's an RB1.
Yeah, in standard leagues, he's an RB1. But in half PPR, like low on, even in standard, he's how much touchdown opportunity is Tennessee going to have? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's a start this week against Denver, who's given up the 28th.
He's a start borderline every week, honestly.
Yeah. Lindsey has been surprisingly good. Against Tennessee, I'm sitting him.
Shocker.
Yeah. Just because Tennessee,
Tennessee does have a very good defense, though.
Cortland Sutton, are you starting him this week against
I want
Denver?
to.
Yeah.
You mean against Tennessee?
Against Tennessee, I'm sorry.
I want to,
but you shouldn't.
Yeah, you really shouldn't. Not against Tennessee. Like, Sutton's been very good this year. I think in half PPR, he's the number 10 receiver right now.
Yeah.
And, like, last week, Emmanuel Sanders had 1 target, 1 catch. Sutton's kind of slowly becoming Joe Flacco's go-to guy, but it's Joe Flacco's go-to guy.
Yeah, Joe Flacco. That's all you got to say. And then there's no one on the receiver core for Tennessee that you want to start. Delaney Walker against against Denver might be a good play this week. Denver hasn't been great against tight ends, so they're middle of the pack, mediocre. So if you have Delaney Walker, you probably should saddle him up. Steelers at Chargers, 41-point over-under. This is a Sunday night football game.
Awesome.
Devlin Hodges, no. Phillip Rivers, yes. I would play Phillip Rivers against Pittsburgh.
And he Rivers burned people last week.
Yeah.
He had a terrible week.
So I would definitely play him. I would definitely play him this week.
I would too.
James Conner is going to get all the work.
You're still playing James Conner.
You're still playing James Conner. And then as far as the other side, what do you make of this Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler situation?
I'm probably playing both unless it's standard. Then I'm just playing Gordon. But if it's half
Gordon was
PPR,
really bad last week.
He was, but
like I literally, to justify my thoughts on Melvin Gordon, I had to look at previous years. I literally looked back at 3 years of football for him. He hasn't had a game that bad in a long time, and he touched the ball. It was
also his first game.
He touched the ball 16 times, and he had an awful game.
Or not a year and a half, but it's been a while since Melvin Gordon's played football.
Who did he play last week? I forgot.
It was Denver.
Yeah, no, that should have been a game where he scores 50 points.
But what encouraged me was Eckler had 2 carries in that game to Melvin Gordon's 12, and the team was losing all game.
Eckler wasn't carrying the ball anyway.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like Melvin Gordon's.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get the. He's gonna get the
game like
carries.
Sunday night when they're beating the Steelers by 20 points. Melvin Gordon's gonna get 20 carries.
Right.
I would think.
No, he's obviously a start.
And it's not like he was completely out of the passing game either. He had 6 targets.
I'm just questioning the actual value of Melvin Gordon at this point.
It's still.
We'll see as the weeks go along, but, yeah. Austin Eckler, I would say as a start, just because he gets the passing work.
He is.
it's going to be tough.
If you're in a standard league, though, you're obviously not starting him.
Yeah. And then
but he's getting like 8 targets a game, 8 to 10 targets. So.
Wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster has been, he's been okay. He had 10 fantasy points. And he had 2 10-point games, 2 15-point games, and then a 3-point game on Monday Night Football where he burgered. He's a mid-range wide receiver too. So unless Devlin Hodges is the next Gardner Minshew or Mason Rudolph gets unlocked and upgraded like in Madden, Juju's probably going to stick at that wide receiver 2 range.
If Hodges definitely starts this week, which it looks like he pretty much is, do you consider benching Juju this week?
No, you got to start him. You got to play him.
See, I would.
I don't know if I would, dude. That's kind of a little bit of a overreaction. See, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, Juju absolutely."
It's not about Juju; it's about the quarterback.
Yeah, but he's still gonna get targeted 7 to 10 times. He had like 4 catches from Devlin Hodges in the second half.
If Devlin Hodges throws for 150 yards and 2 interceptions, which I think is a possibility, and 0 touchdowns,
I think I think there'll be 7
you think
passes
100
to Juju and 7 passes. It's not even about that. If he gets like 70 to 80 yards,
I'm not fully benching Juju.
Like I think Juju's gonna get 10 points. Like that's probably where he's gonna go. Like that's it. He's not gonna catch a touchdown.
I think he's gonna get.
He'll probably catch 6 to 7 balls.
Yeah,
and get like 60 yards.
Yeah, okay,
65 yards.
But so if you have a better option at flex though. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not playing Juju at flex. I'm putting him. Oh yeah, I am playing Juju at flex. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I thought we were talking. I thought they were on Thursday night.
No,
got confused.
You're tripping.
Yeah, I would start Juju. He's not reached that point where, like, he's like, I know you don't like him. You don't like any players on my team.
No, it's not. This has nothing to do with your fantasy team. I'm saying Hodges is starting.
No, I understand.
Sunday night against the Chargers.
We obviously don't know either what is going on with quarterback Mason Rudolph, but
yeah, if Rudolph was playing, I'd say definitely.
Juju is just
not.
See, here's the thing with Juju Smith-Schuster, and this is what people don't. What you need to realize with Juju is that, yeah, with Devlin Hodges in the game, he could absolutely bust out and have 4 points and just completely crap.
Yeah,
but
you still have to start him.
You still have to start him, and here's why. Devlin Hodges could hit Juju on a crossing pattern, and Juju could take it 60 yards for a touchdown. Like, he's talented, he's fast, he's good at the game of football, and he's similar to like Odell in that context where he could turn a 5-yard dink play into like a touchdown just because he's, Juju or Odell, you know what I mean? So that's why you have to start Juju, because if something like that does happen, say they're on like the 25-yard line and they throw a crossing pattern to Juju and he just breaks out, scores a touchdown, 75-yard touchdown, then you're sitting there going, oh, I left him on my bench. Whereas if you're talking about a guy like DJ Chark, he's a guy that we know he's good, but his playability fully depends on how much workload he gets. Whereas a guy like Odell and Juju, yes, workload matters, but I think they can make something happen.
I get what you're saying.
For me, it's you got to play Juju at this point. If he continues to completely blow because of his quarterback, then I will start fading him in a couple weeks to the bench. But there's nothing to me that has shown me that Juju is worth a move to the bench at this point, because he's been getting 10 to 15 fantasy points a game. So
it's just the Hodges factor.
Wait, Hodges. Keenan Allen is a must-start this week. He has been concerning, but start him. It's so difficult.
No, you're starting Keenan Allen no matter what.
Yeah, you're starting Keenan Allen no matter what, but he had 7 points, 3 points. I don't know what they've been doing, but you've got to get Keenan Allen the ball. I believe Mike Williams is going to play in this game as well, and we might also get the return of Hunter Henry. So a lot of mouths to feed in that offense.
Yeah.
But I would, obviously start
Keenan
Allen. Thank you. Okay. Wow, that took a lot to get out. And then let's just quickly go to the last game. Lions at Packers, 47-point over/under. We have Rodgers, I think, against Detroit. This is going to be a high-scoring game, so I would say start Rodgers. Don't stream Stafford.
I wouldn't. I like Stafford this year a lot.
Every time I see the Packers logo, I think sucky defense, and I'm not used to this, like them being a good pass defense.
That is weird, yeah.
But Stafford has been good this year. It's hard against Green Bay.
In Green Bay, too, in Lambeau. I'm not a fan of that.
Like, there's probably 6 quarterbacks, maybe 5 quarterbacks in all of the NFL that I would play against Green Bay.
Yeah. It's not a lot.
Not a lot.
Rodgers, week to week, we've been saying start or sit him. Each week, it's been pretty predictable.
Yeah.
I think this week is the start.
In Green Bay.
Against Detroit. Yep. I think in a Monday Night Football game, I would start Aaron Rodgers this week.
And Carry-On has a magical matchup against Green Bay. Green Bay has been absolutely awful against rushing attacks. Now, if for some odd reason Detroit is up 21-0, then Green Bay is up 21-0, then Carry-On, he does have the passing work, but I don't think he can have the big game that you want him to. I think
the only way Carry-On has a big week, I think, is if
this is on Monday Night Football. I think this is going to be a bounce back and forth game. This is not going to be as somebody's killing somebody. This is going to be going back and forth the whole game. Okay. If that does happen, they're going to use Carry-On a lot.
They will.
So saddle up your Carry-On Johnson shares. Aaron Jones had a monster week. I don't know if Jamal Williams is coming back. I am going to look that up really quickly.
Aaron Jones has 8 touchdowns.
That is absolutely
through
insane.
5 games so far.
Now, if Jamal Williams plays, are you concerned at all about starting him?
I would start him still no matter what, but I would be concerned.
There's no news on Jamal Williams yet. Wow. So
really? That probably means he's not playing.
Yeah, I would think he's not. But if he does play, the workload will be split between Jones and Williams.
Yeah.
I think that's the case. Jones will get the red zone work. Jones is always he's an automatic start on a week-to-week basis, but don't expect 42 points from him again. Like, to expect that is crazy.
Right, yeah.
You got Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. Both have gotten the same amount of receptions, the same target share. They're actually both been playing relatively decent. Kenny Galladay's just been the guy in front because of his 4 touchdowns. So, 2, Marvin Jones 1. So, would you start any of these? Well, obviously start Kenny Golladay, but would you start Jones in any capacity against Green Bay?
Maybe as a low flex option, but that's probably about it.
Okay. Hawk will not play probably, so we'll keep an eye on that situation. If he clears concussion protocol, he'll probably come in and play, but we'll see. Devontae Adams. I haven't heard a lot of news on Devontae Adams either, so watch the practice report. I believe he did not practice on Wednesday. I'm not sure, though.
I'll look it up right now.
But if Adams is in, start him. If he's out, obviously don't play him. Are you looking at Valdez Scantling or Geronimo Allison in this game in case?
If those guys, if Devontae Adams is out, then you have to look at those guys. But if Devontae Adams is in, I'm just kind of staying away from them.
Okay. And then I think Jimmy Graham, I'll talk about him a little bit later, but Jimmy Graham is a good option this week at tight end. So unless there's anything else you want to talk about this game, we'll move on.
I don't see any news on Devontae Adams. This is so weird.
No news. I don't like this.
I don't even know if he practiced or not.
Let's move into our starts and sits segment for week 6. I'll start off with my quarterback and my sit. Well, I'll start off with my start and sit at quarterback, and then we'll go to Rick, and we'll do this back and forth really, really, really quickly.
Yes.
So my start of the week, Kyler Murray against Atlanta. He doesn't throw a lot of passing touchdowns, but this guy just runs it all over the field. They have gotten in the red zone an insane amount this year and have not cashed in terms of touchdowns. So I think what I'm thinking is that if Kyler Murray can start throwing touchdown passes, Kyler Murray can become a top 10 quarterback this year. He's been showing that he can be really good. The rushing yards obviously really help. And against Atlanta, in any game, this is probably one that he could probably have a lot of success in. So I'm going to stream. I mean, I'm not sure that he's streaming.
He's probably not available.
Possible, but yeah, because people are holding on to him. Some idiot drafted him.
He did have 20-something points last week.
Yeah, no, he's been decent so far this year. So I would play him against Atlanta this week, and then I'm going to sit Carson Wentz against Minnesota. I know this sounds crazy because Carson Wentz is a top 10 quarterback, but I feel like Carson Wentz is going to poop his pants and have like a 12-point game this week against Minnesota. And I could be wrong, but if he does do that, wouldn't you want to go pick up a streaming option and play him like Gardner Minshew or Teddy Bridgewater in that game?
Or Gardner Minshew again.
Yeah. Sounds so funny. Gross to say start Gardner Minshew over like Carson Wentz.
Yeah. It's funny. We don't tell each other what we do for start or sit 'em. Yeah. My original starts and sets for QBs this week were the exact same as yours.
Yep.
I decided to keep Carson Wentz because he is in Minnesota this week. A lot of people are going to start him. I don't like that matchup at all. I'd probably avoid him if you have a better option for sit. But my start of the week, I decided to change from Kyler Murray since you went with him. And I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson this week, people kind of are getting nervous about him. He started off really, really, really hot.
He had a good week last week.
He, for 12 points is a good week.
I thought that was the week before.
No, he had 27 the week before.
Oh, never mind.
But he's coming off a 12-point week. I know some people are starting to get nervous about him.
Yeah.
Don't be. He's going to come out this week and get 20-plus fantasy points again.
Okay. Start at running backs for the week is Sony Michel against the New York Giants. The Patriots are, whether you want to believe it or not, are a running football team.
Yes.
They're probably going to give this a lot. Okay, so regardless of whether Tom Brady throws the football a lot or not, they're going to give the ball to Sony Michel because I truly believe that the Patriots will be up like 21-0 before the half.
Yeah.
And like once that happens, Sony Michel is going to get fed. I don't believe Burkhead's going to play in this game.
He's listed as questionable for tonight.
Burkhead?
Yes.
Okay. So I would think Sony Michel is a great start this week against New York, especially if Rex Burkhead does not play. So definitely keep an eye on that. But Sony Michel, start at running back. And then my sit is Jordan Howard. So another Eagle against Minnesota. I cannot start Jordan Howard this week. I know. Yeah.
But, dude, he's been so good.
He's been so good. Yeah, no, sit him against Minnesota. You don't want to be the guy who started a average quarterback against a really good defense. So sit Jordan Howard this week against Minnesota and roll with the punches.
So not only sit Wentz, but also sit Howard. I don't disagree. It's funny. My running back for the week in standard would have been Sony Michel.
Yeah.
I was thinking about saying Sony. You said Sony, so I was like, dang it. I am going with some interesting options at running back for this week. My start is Chris Thompson.
Okay.
Yes, Chris Thompson. I know, crazy. He's playing Miami this week, who is probably the worst defense in the league.
Yep.
With the new coaching change as well, I'm very fascinated to see how they'll use Chris Thompson. Mm-hmm. I think there's a good chance they'll get him involved more.
Okay.
He hasn't been bad this year in games that they've lost. He's consistently getting targeted in that offense.
Right.
And I think in a good matchup against Miami, which is by far the best matchup they've had all year, I think it's realistic to see him getting in a half PPR or full PPR setting in RB2 week and getting like 15 plus, like around 15 to like 16, even 20 fantasy points in PPR. And then my sit for the week is actually another interesting one that people will probably get mad at me about. It's Matt Breida. Okay, everybody's been high on Matt Breida after this week, and I get it. I do. He had 11 carries, though. Right? Tevin Coleman had 17 carries this past week. Breida had 3 targets, so he was involved in the offense, but it wasn't like he fully took over. He had 26 fantasy points, and was great. He's going to be good going forward, but like let's slow the brakes a little bit, and he's going to play against the Rams in LA this week.
Pump the brakes.
I don't think he's going to go off. I could see a bust week from Matt Breida.
Yep.
So that's my sit at running back.
Start of the week for me at wide receiver is DJ Chark against New Orleans.
Chark.
I think Chark is going to have a really good day. He's going up against a New Orleans pass defense that has given up a lot of fantasy points to running back. I mean, a lot of fantasy points to wide receivers, a lot of fantasy points to quarterbacks. So this should be a good week for the number 1 wide receiver in Jacksonville. And then my sit of the week at wide receiver is Golden Tate / Sterling Shepard at New England. New England is this game tonight is just so garbage.
It really is.
So I'm gonna say whether I think one of these guys is not playing. Is Shepard not playing in this game?
Oh, one of them
earlier.
was. Yeah,
I said that earlier.
I think it's Shepard. Yeah,
Shepard.
Yeah.
But anyway, sit the wide receivers for the New York Giants.
Sit the team.
Yeah, sit the whole team. But sit the wide receivers of the New York Giants. They're going to bust this week.
All right, I'm going to try to go quicker a little bit. My wide receiver is Calvin Ridley. It's because I'm hungry. That's why I'm saying to go quicker. A man wants to eat, okay? Calvin Ridley, I think he's got a good matchup. He is boom or bust like we talked about earlier.
Right.
But just that good matchup, I think Calvin Ridley's in line for a very good week and a potential high-scoring game. My sit is Cortland Sutton, who, again, I love. But as we said earlier, I think it's best to sit him this week against Tennessee, which is a tough matchup.
My start of the week at tight end. I had to think about that. My start of the week at tight end is Jimmy Graham versus Detroit. There's no analytics. I just feel like Jimmy Graham's going to throw a touchdown. I mean,
wait, just stop right there. He's going to throw a touchdown.
Jimmy Graham
you heard it here first. It's a trick play coming up.
If this happens this week, I will replay that.
You're just going to become the coach.
Yeah. No, I think there is going to be a touchdown pass thrown to Jimmy Graham this week from
Monday
Aaron
Night
Rodgers.
Football against the Lions. It's very possible.
And then my sit of the week is Gerald Everett. He's been having some good weeks. You're riding Everett. You're thinking he's going to be... No. He's going to get absolutely demolished by San Francisco this week and become non-existent. Him and Tyler Higbee. Don't worry about it.
I said that last week, and then Gerald Everett had 16 points. If he has another week where he gets 15 points...
I give up.
I think we got to hop on that train. Just like Will Disley.
Not against San Francisco, though.
Yeah. My tight end start of the week is Mark Andrews if he plays, which I don't know if he will. But he has had weeks earlier this year where he didn't practice and played. If he does play, it's home against Cincinnati. It's a great matchup for him. I think Baltimore is going to have a great week. My sit, if he plays again, is Chris Herndon. I don't know if he's going to play, but if he does, people are going to get excited about him. They had a lot of hype going into the year.
Yep.
Now Sam Darnold's back too, so I should definitely start him. Let's calm down a little bit. Very tough matchup against Dallas.
Yeah.
And let's see him play first before we start him.
Okay, there we go. Starts and sits for week 6 are in the books, and so is our final episode for week 6. We are almost halfway through the season at this point, and things are flying, and I'm not sure I like it.
That is crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy. Don't forget to check out our website at thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Talk to you on Tuesday, Fantasy Champs.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter at TheFFChamps.